And welcome back to another video on Sir Finley Gaming channel. On today's video I'm going to be discussing the Battlefield 5 beta, saying if I like it or not. Overall it's pretty good, but it could do with improvement. It's quite laggy, but some of the things I do like is the maps. I mean, DICE are renowned for their graphics and it does look amazing. I mean, the Rotterdam map, stunning map, great visuals. I mean, it plays really well. There's lots of lanes, there's water that you can traverse under. I mean, it's a beautifully designed map. You can cater for all styles, you know, assault players, long range with like the long lanes. Even the tanks can go around the map and get into the middle. I love like the overhead where there's this like tram system where you can traverse the map. You can snipe up there if you want to. I think it's a beautiful map, one of the most beautiful maps. It reminds me of Amiens in Battlefield 1. You can tell that they've used some of the same assets, and they do look similar, you know, like hallways and corridors and the staircases and things like that, but it does look amazing. And the other map, the Norwegian map, I wasn't so keen on. There was lots of particle effects. It did look beautiful. I like the fact that you could jump out of an airplane at the start, and then the game is quite fluid, even though there was lots of areas that you had to traverse across, and you're susceptible to sniping. You could like jump out of an airplane and get behind them. So I really enjoyed that map as well. It looked amazing. Another thing that I do like is the weapons. The weapons feel good. I mean, they've sorted out the bullet spray and like random deviation drops. The guns do feel good to fire, especially like the STG with all its upgrades. I mean, it is a really good gun. You can either tap fire it at long range, or you can burst fire it at short range. I really like the Sten gun as well. I think that's a really good gun, very powerful. I would say some of the weapons do sound the same. Like the STG and the Sten gun, they both sound the same for some reason. I think some of the sounds need to be improved. I mean, definitely. Another problem though is that the characters, the actual classes, don't actually feel so distinct, because you can use some of the same guns in the different classes. Like the STG can be used by the medic class and the assault class, and the Sten gun is in the medic class, so it doesn't really feel like so distinct. You know, in BF1 the medic class was more of like a semi-automatic kind of mid to long range kind of guns, and then the assault class was more automatic weapons. So it felt, and then the other class, the support class, was more of a heavy machine gun type, whereas they're kind of allowing a lot of different classes to use a lot of different guns, so the classes don't feel as distinct, and I don't really like that as much. Another thing I like in this game is the new spawning system. When you die, your character, you can even press left click, and your character will you'll speed up the animation, then you can die and then you can respawn, or you can press right click and he'll like call out for a medic or call for his mum and things like that, and it's actually really immersive. You can move like the camera angle, move his arm, like shuffle around, and he'll call out for a medic, and someone will be able to come and revive you. Everyone now can actually revive people. It'll take a while, even though I was right next to people and people are still not reviving you. If you're a medic, you can get the syringe out and it will take less time to revive someone, but everyone can actually revive now. I actually quite like the system. It does take a while though. Some people are a bit annoyed because I think you know, when you're calling out for a medic and then when you die, then you have to wait another 10 seconds to respawn. I think that the spawn timer should be with the waiting time. So if you're waiting to die, then you die, you shouldn't have to wait again. You should just like be able to pop back in to the map and see if you can respawn. The actual spawns were actually bugged on the first couple of days. So you couldn't actually spawn into a teammate. They just didn't show up on the map. They have actually addressed this, but it was annoying. And it does take a while to respawn. They need to speed it up. They've actually also lowered the time to kill, so it does take less time, so you have to be a bit more strategical in how you play. There isn't any, not everyone gets grenades, there's only the assault cast that get grenades, so they've sorted out like the grenade spamming, so then you can actually traverse the map and be a bit more strategical. But what I'm kind of worried about is that with the upgrades to some weapons, which I'll get onto in a bit, like the STG, you're getting killed very quickly. You can tell if somebody's got a upgrade on their gun because you just die in like half a second. I actually kind of prefer the old system with the time to kill. It was less fast, and you could actually feel like you had a time to come back in the fight if you make a mistake or you didn't lock on as quickly as them, but you're better at positioning. In this one, you could tell if somebody's just hiding in the corner or hiding by an objective on with a barrel, and they see you, you're dead. It's a bit like Call of Duty in that regard. It's becoming a bit too much like Call of Duty, the gameplay. It's really fast, and they've sorted out some of the mechanics, like you can traverse the map quicker, you can jump over obstacles where you can jump from ledges, and they do like this combat roll thing. People are actually exploiting that a bit, where you can jump off a ledge, combat roll, and then you can still shoot at the same time. You can kill people. I've seen that happen, and it's becoming, although it's becoming more fluid, it's becoming less Battlefield, where it's more about really fast time to kill and just using maneuver mechanics, which I think isn't as good. It's not becoming less Battlefieldy in my opinion. Overall, I am enjoying the beta, and I think that DICE is a really good developer who can create quality maps and can immerse you in the World War II experience. But there are a few things that that they need to improve, and I don't like. One of the things is the bugs. You can't really hear the sound of footsteps some of the time. You get killed and you think, why couldn't I hear this guy who just came up from behind me from the side? And some of the guns, that you'll fire at him and he'll fire at you, and you don't hear his guns. I don't know why that is. That they need to sort out some of the sounds in the game, definitely. I mean, I also had bugs where I couldn't spawn. I literally tried to spawn on a tank, and then somebody must have spawned at the same time, and it backs me out. Forcibly backed me out, and then I tried to spawn on my teammate, and I was stuck on 9 seconds. It wouldn't let me spawn back into the game, so I had to wait like 5 minutes, and then it just forcibly spawned me back in on one of my teammates. Also, it doesn't really work that well on the consoles. I've tried it on all three, on PC, PlayStation and Xbox, and especially on Xbox, the frame rate dips below 30 frames a lot of the time, especially with all the explosions and things like that. It doesn't feel that crisp at the moment. There is lots of lag, which is really quite disappointing in a AAA title. Definitely need to improve the performance of the game with launch, especially with some of the bugs and things like that. Another thing that I don't like is that there doesn't seem to be any negatives to the weapon upgrades, and when you've upgraded the weapons, they become almost like god tier. You basically have two areas where you can go down, and you basically choose a left or a right lane with your weapon upgrades, and there doesn't seem to actually be any negatives, like better hip fire, horizontal, vertical recoil, bullet penetration, things like that. You can choose a side, and there's no negatives to it, so you're basically creating like this god tier gun, and it's not that immersive as well. I mean, you choose a side that you go down, you don't really know which one's best, and you can't swap and change. Once you've used all your scraps, then you're locked into it. So it would be good if you could like change between the different rows to see and try out which is best. That would be pretty amazing. But I feel like these weapons with the time to kill and the weapons upgrades, it's going to be quite easy to kill people, and the time to kill is too low at the moment. It needs to be increased, in my opinion. Also, the tanks are really poor in this game. Um, and they just feel really clunky and slow to turn, not really enjoyable. You can't like zoom in when you're outside view of the tank. You have to go into first person mode, like as if you're really in a tank, and you have to like zoom in and fire to fire accurately. It just feels really slow, and like you can, as a player, you can just like run up to a tank really easily and like throw your grenade, throw dynamite, shoot the tank from behind with a rocket launcher. It just feels really sluggish. Feels really hard to kill people. It is always satisfying when you're in a tank and you blow up like a troop transport. I killed a few people in a troop transport. I thought that, or someone on a bike. I thought that was pretty hilarious. So there's, I do enjoy using tanks, but they definitely could be improved. Also, the gameplay is being let down a bit by like the ammo crates. I'm not a particularly good player, so it doesn't really affect me. I only really kill 1 or 2 people and then I die, so it doesn't really affect me. But for good players, you only get like 1 clip, and then you run out of ammunition, so you have to run back to these ammo crates, and it's really slowing the game down. The game down. Instead of like worrying where you have to go to the next objective, in Conquest, or the best flanking route in the game. You have to be constantly thinking where you're going to get your next ammo drop, and unless you're playing with a really good squad who's continuously throwing ammo or putting down crates, it really does slow down the gameplay, and it's not helping. It's not a fun mechanic. It's just slows it down and makes the gameplay more disjointed because you're having to worry about your ammunition all the time. I also feel that player recognition in this game is really, really bad because of all like the particle effects and shadows and things like that. And uniforms that really blend in, troop uniforms. You find it really hard to see people, especially on the Rotterdam map. It's really bright outside, like bright sunshine, and when you look into a window, it's all dark, completely dark. So if this guy's sniping outside, you can't see him. I mean, and you go into a building and like someone will be hiding in a corner and you can't even see anyone. Like, and all you can see is from the bullet flash and then you're dead. I mean, the shadows in the buildings. I mean, I put the brightness up well high, and then it would just feel really like disjointed. You'd be like inside, you could see a lot, and then outside it'd be bright sunshine. So it would hurt your eyes. I mean, they've really got to sort out. I mean, why does there have to be so many shadows all the time and particle effects, smoke going on? Yeah, I know you want to show off your game engine, but it's a FPS shooter. It's an FPS arcadey shooter, and it's spoiling the gameplay because you can't even see people. It's hard to see with like the UI being more stripped down and trying to be all white and kind of modern. It's like when you shoot someone, it's harder to know that you killed someone. I just prefer like the UI in BF1. So overall, what do I think is the best platform to play the game on? I was playing it on PC, and that's actually the footage that you see in the video. I wouldn't class myself as a very good Battlefield player, but by the end I was getting the hang of it. I enjoy using the STG, tap firing with the STG. That was quite satisfying. For some reason I find it harder to control the recoil of the guns with a mouse for some reason than I do with the controller, which is kind of weird. I do think that the PC, there's too many snipers because it's easy to control with sniping with a mouse and keyboard. I was getting killed a lot with snipers on PC. Also on PC the game lobbies didn't fill up as well, and about a third of the game players on the scoreboard were like 0 and 3 or like 3 and 1, that kind of really small scores. So they'd just come into the game. It felt like it was harder to fill up the lobbies on PC. I also found it hard to control my kit because there's a lot of buttons on on Battlefield, especially like with tanks. We've got to zoom in, zoom out, and change positions in the positions in the tank. I find, and using lots of different kits. I find a lot of the key bindings, I find it a lot harder to control with keyboard and mouse, although the aiming is better with a keyboard and mouse, obviously. The Xbox I thought was the worst performing. The particle effects weren't as good. The shadows were too much on Xbox. I just found it really dark for some reason on Xbox. The best performing and the one that I'd probably buy is on PlayStation. I thought it was just right. I thought that it were a lot more crisp. The particle effects were better, shadows were better, looked better overall. So if I was going to get the game, I'd definitely get it on PlayStation. I think that it's a bit too hardcore on PC. You seem to get killed a bit too much with the with snipers and gadgets and other things like that. I just feel that it's a more balanced experience on the console, but that's personal preference. So what do I overall think about the game, and is it worth purchasing? The gameplay is good. The shooting mechanic is fluid. It feels like they've improved the shooting. Like, it feels satisfying to shoot the guns. It feels almost as satisfying as a COD game in terms of like how the gunplay goes out. I do think the time to kill is too short. They need to increase that. I enjoy like the maps. They look absolutely amazing. Do feel like you're in World War II. Ground operations and things like that. I like how they play out. But the bugs are letting the game down. The lack of frame rate. It doesn't really look good on a standard Xbox, especially. And also, I'm a bit worried about some of the marketing to this game. I would kind of say that if you can hold out, I would wait, because it definitely needs improving. I feel if the game doesn't sell particularly well, I feel that they will be doing a price drop like they did for Star Wars Battlefront. There's also, if you do wait, they probably will, and the game doesn't sell too well, I think they've already got a plan in place to improve sales. Probably there is a rumour that they're going to package in the Bad Company 2 remaster into the game, or when maybe when the Battle Royale comes out. There'll probably be seasons with Battle Royale, and then you might be able to get a bit like in Fortnite, and you could get maybe a free couple of seasons, lots of crates. I mean, the game isn't particularly amazing. It's not particularly that bad either. It's just a standard Battlefield game. So if you can wait out, you're going to be rewarded, I feel. There's lots of different games coming out, Red Dead Redemption 2, Call of Duty's coming out. I mean, if you can wait and wait for a sale or get it second hand, or when if the sales aren't great, they're definitely going to do some marketing ploys to get you to buy the game. So I will just wait. Especially, it needs to work on its performances and bugs, get the frame rate up, especially on Xbox. They need to sort out the particle effects, make sure that the uniforms stop blending in and things, and the shadows. It just needs improving. Although the gunplay has definitely been improved, you can tell that it's not ready yet, so I would definitely wait and get it for cheaper. And they've got a plan, so they're going to definitely reward you to play the game later on. So you don't need to be one of these day one people that get the game. You can wait. But overall, it was a fun game. It's a Battlefield game. It's just enjoyable playing the Conquest mode, especially on Rotterdam. It is a good map. There's lots of different lanes and areas to traverse the map. If you're a good player, you'll be rewarded with flanking routes and things like that. The gunplay is solid, so if you're a good player, you know when you shoot someone, you know where the bullets are going, and you're going to hit them. Especially with the STG, people are attack firing it and shooting people at range. That gun looks superb and plays superb, especially the Sten gun as well. So yeah, overall, it's a fun game. If you want to pick it up, but I feel that it needs a bit of polish. So if you wait a little while, and then pick it up, you will be rewarded. But this is Sir Finley Gaming. Like my video, or not if you don't believe in my opinions. But I've got a lot of videos on my channel and lots coming up, so please subscribe and like, and I'll see you again in another video. Thank you.